All right, welcome to Footy in Focus NRL News with Kat and Isaac. I'm Kat Haddad, and I'm joined by
Isaac Issa. What's
welcome,
going on,
Isaac.
We're here. It's our first show, and we're very excited. Let's kind of chat about what this pod really is.
Well, I guess we are both big fans of the game. We work in it, amongst it, and when we met each other, we realised that we could join forces and create something. So, I mean, I think from your perspective, like you're in and around clubs every week. This is what you do. So you've got so much knowledge that you can share with people. Yeah. And then for me, it's a passion. Like I love talking about the game. So I thought we should combine forces and create something that is news orientated. It's for people that just want to know what's happening week to week in the game. Yep. But I guess not through a traditional lens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for anyone who's kind of been following either of us and the work that we've done over the last little while, we both kind of have our own way of wanting to, I guess, tackle what media is nowadays. And, you know, I'm obviously very footy focused. You are kind of, you know, got your hand in a few hats, which is exactly why I kind of wanted to have you with me doing this. Yeah. And look, this isn't one of those things where it was like, you know, years in the making. We kind of just were grabbing coffee and we thought of the idea and here we are.
And you patiently waited till, I suppose we're wrapping up round 3 now. Yeah. I was too busy to do it before. I didn't want to create something until I had the time to do it week on week. It's a long season, the longest season ever. So now that we can get the ball rolling and make it a weekly thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we've already got so much to talk about in the first episode. Yeah, you've got some breaking stories.
Yeah, we've got a fair bit to get through. And I guess, and look, maybe this is just because I've been anticipating us doing this, but like, it's like the footy gods have just given us so much to work with, and we're sitting here trying to organise times and how long we want to talk for, and because obviously you and me, we can just talk for ages. So
no issues there.
But literally, there's so much to get through, and I'm stoked to be able to kind of go through it today and do this on a weekly basis.
Let's kick it off with what club you support as well. I think that's important context for people that don't know you, and also maybe just fill in for people what you do and what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Isaac Issa. I'm a rugby league journalist. I'm pretty sure you can see behind me, I've got the Bulldogs jersey behind me. I am a Bulldogs fan from birth. Who a team
born into it.
I'm born into it. I am... I've got my blood is blue. My blood is blue. So I'm a Bulldogs fan, but above that, I'm a footy fan, and I cover the sport, for ESPN Australia. Writing stories, breaking news, covering the young guys, the older guys. A lot of the stories that we chat about today are stories that I've covered for ESPN this week. I do quite a bit around the space, and it keeps me very busy. But yeah, at the core of it, I'm Isaac, the Bulldogs fan, and I do love my boys in blue and white, which is a little bit different to the colours that you support.
It is, which is nice. We don't want to be completely the same.
We want a bit of variation.
I think where we get along is that we view the game in a similar way, especially in terms of, like you mentioned, journalism and reporting. I think I often get frustrated with the headlines and the clickbaity nature of it, and also how deprecating it can be and negative. Absolutely. I think there's a space for just facts and positivity, and it not being like a show Bodie, let's just try and get as many people to listen and watch as possible, and just making up headlines, basically, like searching for a story. That's where we get along, but we do have different teams, which is nice, a bit of a rivalry. So I'm a Rabbitohs supporter. I was actually saying to Flaxxy, who's our producer, that I haven't been a Rabbitohs fan my whole life. I wasn't born into a rugby league family. I came to love it through my best friend's family. They introduced it to me, and they are very passionate South supporters. So they took me to my first games. I was 16 or 17 before I went to my first footy game. Really, I was a soccer person back in the day. Still am, but I love Souths. My mum is from Maroubra, so she claims that that I was born into it, but I beg to differ in terms of influence. But I love them. I do a bit of work with the club here and there. Like every encounter I've had with them has been awesome. We beat the Tigers, which was fantastic. a real nail biter, that one. Thanks, Latrell Mitchell. Stressed me out, but he did the job. He did the job. But yeah.
Because if they lost, we wouldn't be recording today. His cat would still be at home.
Yeah. Take that stuff really personally. But yeah, it's good. Week to week, we'll have a bit of answer about our clubs as well. But shall we dive in?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask you off the top if you had a favourite moment this week. And funnily enough, we agreed on our favourite moment. And a shout out to Emma Lawrence, who made NRL history on Triple M as the first female play-by-play commentator. It was the Sharks v Dolphins game, which you were at. So I'll get you to talk about that experience in a moment. But just a shout out to Emma, who is just so talented. She's so deserving of that role. But it's just an awesome thing to see in the game. And I think she well and truly proved that she's fit for the job. She did a brilliant coverage of that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I was, and I said it to you off air, I was a bit nervous for her because obviously there was so much pressure on her to kind of deliver. You know, the first female play-by-play caller is it's a big feat and it's a huge title to have. And in saying that, I was actually covering the Sharks versus Dolphins games for ESPN. Yeah. And part of that, you know, obviously going to the game live, I do have play-by-play calls in my ear. And obviously I was going to go with Emma for that coverage. And she absolutely killed it. She was so good. She was enthusiastic. She was clear. At no point was I lost during the game, which... it sounds like an obvious kind of standard for someone who's doing play-by-play, but like I said, when you've got so many ears listening to you, it's nerve-wracking. So,
but it's not that obvious in the sense that I think it's a skill that we quite often take for granted in terms of how commentary really dictates what you're seeing. Like what you hear and what you see, there needs to be this correlation between them. And when it doesn't have that, it's quiet.
It throws you off.
You don't enjoy the experience as much. And obviously being that it was Triple M, like it's really cool to hear that, like, if somebody wasn't watching the game like you were, that it was still coherent. They still would have really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah, credit to her because not only was she the first kind of female to do it, she did a really good job of it as well. It's one thing to be the first, another thing to actually do it really well. And she absolutely killed it. So congrats, Emma.
Congrats,
awesome.
Emma. Just onwards and upwards, I suppose, for her.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant. All right, let's jump into our first story of the week. It's hard to not talk about Bronson Xerri. You've called it the Bronson Bombshell. Let's get straight into it. There is a lot of speculation around positional changes, how Bronson Xerri was left feeling with those decisions made by Cameron Ciraldo. You went into the Bulldogs this week. Talk us through what you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So it seems like, I guess every week some kind of bombshell drops. This week it was Bronson's. So there were mixed reports, you know, last weekend about him potentially wanting to seek release from the club following, you know, being dropped from the NRL squad to the New South Wales Cup squad, which we'll get into how he kind of performed in that game. But from what I'm aware, Bronson Xerri was told over the last kind of 7 to 10 days that he was going to be dropped from the NRL side following the club's bye in round 2. Now, from what's kind of been spoken about from Cameron Ciraldo and from what he kind of shared with me when I headed to Belmore earlier in the week, he was wrestling with injury throughout the off-season and didn't have much time to kind of form those combinations. He was told that he would be switched from the left centre to the right centre, to which he wasn't a huge fan of to begin with, plus not getting the opportunity to really build those combinations was kind of tough for him at the time. And he didn't integrate that well, you know, from the sounds of it. But someone who did integrate quite well was Anari Tuala, who did eventually take Bronson's side when he dropped it.
Very well.
He played really well in that position.
Canberra as well.
He made it. You know, he had a couple really good defensive reads and really showed that Bulldog DNA of kind of defense first, team first kind of mentality.
And that real buy into the team, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really important.
And that's and there's somewhat of a worry in Belmore that perhaps Bronson isn't kind of feeding that same mentality. They were spotted wearing shirts this week called written "We" before me. which is...
Was that at training they were spotted, or were they just out?
So they were heading to Canberra, and they headed to Canberra with those shirts on after the team list had kind of dropped. So I spoke to Seraldo about that during the week, and he kind of mentioned that they were wearing those in Vegas as well. They're also wearing it this week to kind of reestablish the fact that we are a team first club. We are not individual first. And Seraldo mentioned that he was quite disappointed in Bronson's reaction to being dropped. So while his first reaction wasn't too good, his second one was exceptional. He played in New South Wales Cup over the weekend, where he scored in literally, I think it was his first touch of the game. It was his
first touch. He
scored. So he had a great bounce back from that little drama, but there's also talks that he was seeking an extension after 2027, which the Dogs rejected at the time. So there was a mix of a few things. He wanted an extension. He wanted to be on the left edge. He was denied both. And now he is somewhat in limbo because, as you said, Anarituala had such a good game. It's going to be hard to take him out of that jersey.
It's this constant threat when you are playing in and out of positions that it can take one really good game from someone else to not be put back there for quite some time.
Absolutely.
And Tuala, I mean, that performance left him deserving to do it again for another week. So at least Bronson let his footy speak for itself in New South Wales Cup, but definitely it's one we're all going to be watching quite closely and seeing how it evolves.
Well, it's worth noting that, you know, you could see on the weekend that he is an NRL talent. There's no denying that. And that's why he has been linked to a few clubs. He's been linked to the Tigers, the Storm over the last couple days. I can confirm, spoke to Benji, and he kind of came out and said that the club is not looking at Bronson Xerri. You know,
did he confirm that there had been communication?
He said that as much as he's a fan of him, there won't be any chasing of Bronson Xerri. So there isn't any kind of, there's no fears or worries from that side of things. In terms of the Tigers, I don't believe the Storm are chasing him either, despite reports. But again, that could change over the next few weeks. But yeah, it is definitely one to watch because I think we can both agree he is an NRL talent for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. All right, transfer talks, extension signings, axings. This is another thing we're going to focus on week to week. As we know, the NRL transfer period is not as clear as other sports. I mean, when you look at football, for example, you know when transfer talks are happening and when they're going to be activated. But realistically, there is always these conversations going. So we'll dedicate a bit of time to that. And there's a few to get through today. We'll start off with Damien Cook. He's expected to stay at the Dragons till 2027. Yeah,
so he was considering retiring at the end of this year. You know, he's a little bit older and probably on the back end of his career, but he is still a serviceable dummy half and he's a leader at that club. He's decided to extend for the 2027 season. It hasn't been confirmed by the club yet, but it has been reported over the last few days and it's expected to be announced, you know, over the coming days, coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that one, Dragons fans, because that should come soon. But yeah, he's decided to delay his retirement until 2027, it seems.
And I think he's really liking the lifestyle down there as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think he's been given an opportunity to be a leader there. And he's really, from what I've been told, the players at that club look up to him and they really do. They love his presence there and he's kind of led them into this new era under Shane Flanagan. So, yeah, it's an exciting one for Dragons fans. They get to see their skipper for one more year. So it'll be a good one for them for sure.
Another one for Dragons fans, Dylan Egan has also confirmed till the end of 2029.
Yeah, so this one, is confirmed. And this is a huge one, a huge get for Dragons fans. If you're not kind of aware of what Dylan Egan's been doing over at the Dragons, he's been absolutely electric in the forwards. And everyone knows the Dragons forward pack is packed coming through. And they've obviously got Keon coming over next year. Don't mean to bring up some sore wounds, but I think you guys are going to be okay in the forward department next year. But yeah, the young Dylan Egan, he's confirmed until the end of 2029. The club continues to prioritise kind of building that young forward pack. And yeah, he's going to be a real exciting one for Dragons fans for sure.
All right, let's move on to the Penrith Panthers. Luke Garner, he's expected to ink another 2-year deal with Penrith. And then whilst we're still on Panthers, Matt Eisenhuth announcing his retirement. He debuted for the Tigers back in 2017. a nice, long, fruitful career, but retiring at Penrith.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got two guys there who have kind of taken their careers in different directions this week. Luke Garner, who I actually got the chance to speak to him over in Penrith a couple of weeks ago, and he did say that he does want to stay. He does want to remain at Penrith, and why wouldn't he? Realistically, I think majority of players you would be licking their lips at an extension with Penrith. So he's expected to extend over the next 2 years. Again, not confirmed by the club, but keep an eye out for that. And it's a real good, kind of retention with one of their veteran stars. And then on the flip side, you got Matt Eisenhuth, who congratulations on honestly a terrific career. He's one that Penrith Panthers fans love. From everyone I've spoken to, they all love him over there as well. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what he does in his kind of post-career. I think that, I'd love to see him still kind of in and around rugby league. But yeah, no, congratulations on an awesome career.
It's good to see those solid personalities stay within the game to some extent. And then Mikolaj Oledsky, great name, first of all. But this was one that you broke. This is a signing for the Perth Bears, and it's a 3-year deal. We know that Perth enter the comp from 2027. Yep. So this is a Super League signing as well. He comes from the Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah, so Polish-born Mikolaj Oledsky. And I'd like to thank those who corrected me a couple of weeks ago because I was calling him Mikolaj. So,
we should have spoken earlier.
Mikolaj Oledsky. So yeah, he comes from the Leeds Rhinos on a 3-year deal. So me and the team over at ESPN broke this story in late February, and the club announced it earlier this week. So he joins on a 3-year deal, and he's played, on the international level. I believe he played in the Ashes series against Australia. He's a terrific forward. He's versatile in that forward pack as well, and they really love him over there. And from kind of seeing the comments from a few Rhinos fans, they are quite sad to see him go.
Oh, wow.
So if you're an NRL fan, you don't really watch the Super League, you'll want to keep your eyes out for Oledsky for sure.
I think any signings they can get from the Super League too. If I went to Vegas last year, I didn't go to the most recent one, but the amount of Super League fans that came just showed me how popular it is. Or I suppose the English can just fill a stadium as well. They're really good when it comes to sport, but it was really cool to see how passionate those fans are over there. And I think any kind of transfer you can get of fans to the Australian game is a win for everyone.
Well, it's interesting you say that because from what I heard, again, I haven't been to Vegas yet. ESPN, if you want to send me next year.
You didn't go with the Dogs?
If you want to, I didn't go to the Dogs this year, just in case they lost, and they knew they did. So I wasn't flying all the way to Vegas to see a loss. So,
fair enough.
But from what I heard, fans were saying essentially to Super League fans, please stay for the entire of the Vegas kind of marathon that they had going over there because they were such a huge part of the atmosphere over there. Huge. So it's really interesting to hear as well because obviously we look at NRL as the pinnacle of rugby league, but their fans over there absolutely love kind of, the sport over there. So it'll be interesting to see if Mikolaj takes a few fans over there with him. That would be cool to see.
That'd be great to see.
Yep.
Oh, you could get a feel for those Super League fans when Broncos went over to Hull, KR, because that stadium looked scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
That looked scary.
Like I actually don't blame the Broncos for being a little bit shook from that game because I probably wasn't as, I wasn't cultured enough to realize how kind of emphatic and enthusiastic these fans are for the Super League over there. So, and I know that the NRL is keen to kind of bring the Super League a little bit closer to the NRL and potentially buy stakes in the future. And
but even doing instead of Vegas, going to London or doing a bit of that would be really cool.
Yeah, mania. So it's an exciting one for sure.
All right, so another segment we're going to do week to week, and I think this is where the real chunky stuff is for you because, as I mentioned, you go to all the team media days throughout the week. Yep. There's a number of clubs that you visit on a week-to-week basis, which I think is also really cool for you because you're developing those relationships with coaches, with players, which is brilliant. But we've got a club mail segment where you're going to tell us some of the stuff that you've discovered by going to those clubs this week. So let's kick it off. The first club you visited was the Penrith Panthers, and you got a bit of an update on Blaze Talangi.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are, kind of the stories that you're probably not going to come across every day, but I think they are kind of nice tidbits to know about what's going on in around the clubs. And Blaze kind of gave me a really nice insight into what the off-seasons kind of look like for him. So obviously Panthers 3-0 start. They look great. Blaze looks great in that number 6 jumper. And while I guess a lot of people were expecting this based on his potential, he actually revealed to me that he's put in a lot of work in the gym over the off season, and has focused mainly on attacking the weights, to be honest. And those were his exact words. He's been attacking the weights, and he's bulked up a lot over the off season. Not too sure if you can tell from the camera, but if you can, or from the TV, sorry, but if you see him in person, he's definitely put on a few kilos. And he said, look, while I don't shy away from contact, it's definitely helped with my recovery. And it's interesting to see, obviously these are, you know, athletes, professional athletes, but even they are exploring new things about their body over the off season. And I guess a guy like Blaise Talangi not having any fear running into the front line is kind of a scary thought for other teams as well, because, you know, realistically, what's his kryptonite at this point? So very exciting for Panthers fans to kind of see their six growing into his man body, and you can kind of see it paying dividends already.
Another player who's paying dividends is Api Coruscant for the Tigers. I mean, he's such a leader, but you've got an update there as well. Yeah,
so kind of on the flip side, we look at Blaise Talangi, he's growing into his man body. You've got Api Coruscant, who's kind of maintaining it now. And from the sounds of it, he's at his peak, which is crazy to think someone in his early 30s compared to a guy in his early 20s. But Api Coruscant mentioned to me that this is the fittest he's ever felt going into a season, which is crazy because he played for the Penrith Panthers. So in chatting to him, he revealed that it's the most work he's put in an off season. You know, there's been a lot of talk out of the Tigers about how intense this off season has been for them in their preseason. So he revealed that he's kind of gone that extra mile to kind of get his body right, and is hoping to play 80 minutes every game as a result. I spoke to Benji a couple of days after about those comments, and he said, honestly, if you see Api Coruscant take off his shirt, he looks completely different.
Shredded.
Yeah, he's shredded.
Wow.
Which is crazy to think about, like the former Blues hooker just, you know, going to another level at this point in his career. And honestly, like, could we potentially see him make his way back into that Blue side and reclaim that 9 jersey? From the sounds of it, he's got in his body right, and we could see a freakish Api Coruscant this year.
I think what we're seeing in the 2025s, like this era, obviously we're 2026, but I think last year we saw a lot of that. Maybe the ages that we used to associate with the decline of a player is no longer the story. That you do see that your early 30s, you've not only consolidated your skill set, what you bring to the table, your leadership, your confidence, but because of our knowledge and science backing data around performance and recovery, players are just lasting longer.
Absolutely. And you're kind of seeing it already with guys like who are reaching the end of their careers but are still in, you know, peak form. Adam Reynolds, Daly Cherry Evans, you know, guys like this who are, you know, they might have their injuries here and there, but the way that they recover from them and bounce back from these injuries is unheard of. You know, we looked at Cameron Smith towards the end of his career as an anomaly, but really these players they're building their bodies to last, you know, 10, 15, 20 years in rugby league. So it's really exciting, and it's exciting for for Tigers fans as well, who may have feared that their skipper would be reaching the end of his career. You probably could get another 3-4 years out of Api Coruscant.
It's amazing. But you mentioned Panthers, like it is true. You look at like a Nathan Cleary, and
absolutely, you
can argue that he's not peaked. You know, that he's at an age where all of those things start to factor in. And as long as he stays healthy and fit, like he's now got all the makings of...
He could go for another 10 years.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And I spoke to Braden Trindle earlier this week.
Another good example of that.
He's played game 100 this week. I believe he's 27, 28. He'd be around there.
And he's playing so well.
And he goes, honestly, like I feel like I'm barely entering my peak.
Wow, there you go.
So, yeah, we're definitely seeing, especially with these spine players as well. Obviously, if you're a front rower, it is a little bit harder. You're putting a lot of miles on your body. But these spine players not only are they excelling, they can tell that they're excelling because their bodies are in peak condition. So very exciting for I guess the future, or the next 5 to 10 years of rugby league.
Well, you mentioned Trindle, and you've also got a point here about him wanting Kennedy to extend. So we're talking about that shark spine.
Yep.
What have you got there?
Yeah, so I had a chat to Braden Trindle, and kind of got an idea of what he's kind of hoping for Will Kennedy. So for Will Kennedy, Sharks fullback, he's been a staple in their side for a number of years now. And he is currently off contract. He signed that 1-year extension to remain with the Cronulla Sharks this year. But speaking to Trindle, he said that he really is hoping that his mate can stay in the Shire. There has been a lot of talk about potentially the Perth Bears kind of looming around him. PNG Chiefs obviously coming in the next couple of years. So there are definitely clubs that will be interested in him. But in saying that, for essentially, we can say Braden Trindle's been the Sharks' best player this year. And for the club's best player to want to, I guess, keep Will Kennedy there, you'd like to imagine that the Sharks would want to keep not only the spine together, but keep, your star players happy. So Trindle has said that he really does hope that he does extend at the club further. They do have some good fullbacks coming through. But I don't think that they're probably not at the match fitness yet in the NRL standard yet to, I guess, take that full-time role in the number one jumper. So we could potentially see Kennedy extend at the club for the next few years. Remains to be seen, but, Braden Trindle is an advocate for sure.
Well, if Tricky Trindle wants him, who knows what Fitzgibbon's going to do. And your final club mail is on Hamish Stewart and his expected position. Yeah,
so Hamish Stewart has been a staple in this Dragons forward pack over the last kind of 12 to 18 months. And he's a young man. He's very well spoken. I got the chance to chat to him earlier in the week. And I just spoke to him about what his role is at the club and what he's kind of expecting. He's been named in the lock role a few times to start the season, but has been dropped to the bench, on game day or a little bit before. However, he has said that he expects to be coming in as the side's lock moving forward. Now, he is hoping to, I guess, remain in that number 13 jumper for the years to come. But there have been question marks around that as he has been coming off the bench, coming onto the edge at times for Luciano Leilua. And so while he said that he's happy to kind of help out here and there on the edge, he expects to be the Dragons' number 13 moving forward. So in a side that probably hasn't had a lot of stability over the last few years, to have a young player come out and solidify what role he wants, it's exciting for the club. And speaking on kind of just Hamish Stewart, you've got guys like Clint Gutherson and Damien Cook who have come out and said that he's probably going to be the future captain of this club. So for him to kind of make his, it's huge. You know what I mean? So for him to make that stance, this early in his career, it's exciting for what they're building.
Shows a lot of confidence in himself as well.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, you've got to have. It's a sport that you've got to have confidence in yourself. I always think that probably more than a lot of other codes, you cannot walk out there and not believe in yourself.
Well, all it takes is one performance that shows that you aren't ready to be here, and you can lose your spot to someone who's hungrier than you, who's training harder than you. Talent's one thing, but your attitude is a whole different thing. If you don't come in with confidence, you're going to miss out. So very good signs from Hamish Stewart for sure.
All right, let's get into our classic moment. Thanks to our mates at Classic Sportswear, they've come on board for a few weeks with us, which is absolutely wonderful. And we're going to dedicate this specific moment not to AJ breaking the record. We all saw it. It was incredible. I was there. Unbelievable. Going to tell my grandkids about it. But what I want to talk about is a statue being built for him and the story behind it. But first, I want to get your thoughts on just the breaking of the record.
Yeah. For those of you who don't already, which I don't think there'd be many, but go to Kat's Instagram if you don't follow her already, because she got some really good
video?
No, she got really good footage of it. I actually thought that she stole it off someone else, because I was like, she got some really good footage of the fans storming the field, which was obviously just a moment in history, a moment in rugby league history that will stand forever.
And you know what? I wasn't down on ground level, so I was just above, and it was an amazing way to view it all. Like there was obviously a little part of me that was like, I wish I could have run out as well, but I was glad I saw it from above, and how I saw from start to finish how it unfolded, and it was just incredible. Honestly.
I guess I was kind of 50-50 on the whole running on the field thing at the time. I was nervous. I was nervous for the fans, for the players, and I didn't want to see like 20,000 people get $5,000 fines, but no one did, luckily. But the record is...
Sorry, but if they find fans, they got to find Albo as well.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
That one I was actually a little bit surprised by. I didn't expect to see him. But the record itself, just, I can't believe that it actually got broken, to be honest. I feel like we've been talking about it over the last couple of years now. He's finally done it, and to see the emotion that he was feeling after the game was just, it was an amazing thing to see. And really, it's not something you see every day. You see records broken, but not to that extent. And so hats off to AJ, and the result of it and what he was kind of, you know, awarded with after was just an amazing kind of, it was an amazing gesture for sure.
Well, shout out to Christian Nicolucci, who wrote for the Sydney Morning Herald. He actually told the story about how this statue came to be. I didn't know about this, but it's actually started by a diehard South Sydney fan. His name is Danny Table. And he pitched this idea to the South Sydney Rabbitohs that AJ needed a statue when he broke the record. His son had brought Alex Johnston to his attention and said, hey, Dad, like, you should be watching this player. I think, according to this, he went to a luncheon, he met him, saw him there, saw Wayne Bennett and was like, he's going to be a superstar. Anyway, years later, it actually came to be.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Look, I'm not gonna say that I predicted that Alex Johnston was going to break the record 13 years ago. But to think that, like, you know, I guess a fan, not even someone, a club official, would kind of go to these lengths to ensure that he was kind of, we paid honours to him in this kind of massive fashion is insane. And you can kind of see as well, you obviously know, like, AJ is a real humble guy. And
the most humble.
He's so humble. And if you saw the way that he was kind of standing next to the statue when it came out, it was just, you can't tell if he was kind of shy or just so excited, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's, again, like I said, records get broken all the time, but not to this kind of, to this level. And it's the exact reason why I believe that this is the kind of, I guess, award that you should be kind of given, because this record's probably not going to be broken, at least for a very long time. You got Daniel Tupou's kind of trailing behind, but, you know, Alex Johnston's still in the game. So it's going to take...
And he's like quite a few years younger than Daniel Tupou as well, which I think is an important caveat to that story, because it will take Tupou a while to get there. And
it doesn't even look like he like, and again, an amazing try scorer, Daniel Tupou.
Oh no, this is more about how ludicrous
it's just insane
what AJ's done is, and not
absolutely
nothing
it's
negative
just
about Tupou.
Insane to think that it's been going on for this long. You know, the idea and kind of such a massive monument to be dedicated to him. So no, it's very exciting for AJ. It was, honestly, there was no question as to what our classic story was going to be, because this is just
yeah, I know. And so a shout out to Daniel Table, who funded this whole thing. He pitched the idea. Apologies, I said Wayne Bennett. That's the coach at the moment. It was Michael Maguire who he pitched it to back in 2013, and it was his son who put him on the map in his brain and said, you should keep an eye on him.
Yep.
And now we have a statue outside of, at Heffron. It's amazing. It's a great story. And I think, just to your point, like, this is the kind of stuff that it was great to see. The first fan that ran out was a rooster. Like, it got everybody excited, and it's the real wholesome stuff that should be celebrated, because couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Absolutely. So credit to AJ. And look, I don't think we will be seeing that record broken in our lifetime.
I don't think so. All right, injury roundup. This one, there's unfortunately, at the point of recording, we had just discovered a pretty hefty injury for Jermaine Hopgood. Yeah. But I'll let you rattle these ones off. Yeah.
So we started the record and quickly got the notification. So unfortunately, Eels forward Jermaine Hopgood has reportedly suffered a season-ending ACL tear, which is, you know, by the time that this record comes out, we'll have a lot more details on it. We literally just got it when we first started, but this is just devastating. It's the one injury you don't want to see in rugby league. Now, I've also kind of received notifications. Again, we're kind of recording this just as the Eels game has wrapped up. I believe Jordan Samrani might have suffered a pretty gruesome injury as well. So a couple Eels on there, but again, we'll have more details, you know, as the days go by and scans get done and everything like that. But, you know, prayers to Jermaine Hopgood and obviously Jordan Samrani as well. And if this is season ending, you know, we're just going to...
Hopefully not.
Yeah, we're going to need them back next year, you know, bigger and better. So, but moving on from that, we've obviously got another injury today, a little bit to a lesser degree. It's Clint Gutherson. For those of you who saw the images of him,
fingers in various directions.
His fingers were in very different places, not where you want them to be. No. But luckily, I believe he popped them back in, so he should be fine.
It's very Clint Gutherson to
very
do that.
Clint Gutherson.
Yeah. In the Clint Gutherson Cup as well, might I add.
So yeah, I believe he's popped them back in. I don't want to know any more details than that. I think that's enough.
That's that on that.
Anyways, moving on. Moving on to the Storm, Adavar Lulasadi, who's had a terrific start to his season, unfortunately suffered a calf strain earlier in the week at training, and he's expected to be on the sidelines for about a month. So I'll be interested to see if he slots straight back into that back row role. We obviously know they've got quite a bit of depth over there in Melbourne. Yeah. So he'll probably be out for about 4 weeks. And then looking over back to the Dragons, we've got Loko Pasifiki Tonga, who suffered a neck injury early in the week. He was actually taken to hospital from training during the week.
Yeah, that looked really bad.
It looked really bad. Luckily, they've kind of ruled out any major injuries on that front, and he's expected to be back in the next fortnight. I don't think they're going to rush it, though, considering obviously it's a neck injury, and it can be very serious if not looked after properly. So that's one to kind of keep an eye on. And there's obviously been Dragons fans who have been hoping to see him make it into that NRL squad soon. This has probably been a little bit of a setback, but fingers crossed we see him back soon. Fletcher Sharp from the Newcastle Knights was expected to return back this week. Unfortunately, did not. He failed to overcome a PCL injury, but should be back next week. Fingers crossed.
He was playing so well, and that all just...
And look, I guess that's the story of the Knights kind of start of their season. They obviously had 2 other players who suffered injuries over the last kind of 7 to 8 days.
I don't know if you've heard about them.
Yeah. The Knights haven't been too injury rattled this year. No, we've got Dylan Brown and obviously Kalen Ponga, who are both out for extended periods as well. So they're missing their whole spine essentially, which is why they did suffer that defeat this week. They did struggle without their troops. So we won't see Ponga or Brown back for quite a while. But Fletcher Sharp, we should be back next week against the Bulldogs.
Good news for Knights fans.
Not good news for Bulldogs fans, though, who will have to... But no, it's good news. We get Fletcher Sharp back, and he's been making a case to be one of the better players or one of the best players in the competition in his position. So I'm keen to see kind of what he can get done when he returns. Another Parramatta Eel we have on here is Will Penasini. Now, the club have confirmed that he suffered an adductor injury, so around that groin area, that will see him kind of ruled out for the next month. So that's probably another kind of loss that they've had to their backline. If they lose Jordan Samrani and now Will Penasini as well, it is starting to thin out a little bit in that backline in terms of depth. So that's one to keep an eye on for Eagles fans. They obviously got the win today, but they have been known for their strike out the back. So
some collateral damage in that win.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not what you want to hear if you're an Eels fan. And speaking of things you don't want to hear.
This one really...
Yeah, this one upset me. Tom Flegler, he just came back and then he missed out this week. Luckily, the Dolphins won, but he did suffer a rib issue that kind of ruled him out. Now, I'm going to say that this is more so precautionary than anything else.
I was going to say, do we know the severity of the rib
I
issue?
don't believe it's true. Look, at least the club has been quite vague on kind of the severity of it. I'm going to assume it was more so, an injury management thing, more so than, a severe issue. I'd like to think he's back.
Given also...
He's
the
obviously
context of Flegler.
His match fitness, he's obviously come out and done really well. But you got to imagine that his match fitness isn't to what it usually is as well. So the hope is that he'll be back next week. But I expect the Dolphins to kind of come out with an update.
Yeah. When you know the severity of his injuries and what he actually went through to rehab to be back now. It's remarkable that he was playing the way that he was playing. So I think any precaution around that is warranted for sure.
Absolutely take it because he just. Again, he was out of the game for so long, and the mental kind of strain that would have on you.
Yeah.
But he came back and he killed it. So I'm hoping to see him back next week. But look, credit to the Dolphins. It was next man up, and they absolutely killed it. So.
Absolutely did. All right, heavy hitters. Bit of a pun in this one.
Yeah. Brought to us by HIIT Nation, the guys over at HIIT Nation. So, yeah, our heavy hitters kind of segment, we're going to be kind of going through the suspensions throughout the league. Obviously, heavy hitters, big hits, dangerous hits.
Good stuff. You can tell he's a writer.
I did come up with that one, so I'm not gonna
This is a bit of it correlates with the judiciary report. So like at the end of the weekend, where are we at with suspensions? What's been decided? There's a couple of updates here. So if you want to go through those.
Yeah, absolutely. So first one we've got up is we got Josh Papali'i of the Canberra Raiders. Big Papa is facing a 1 to 2 match ban. So he kind of, in the 17th minute of the game, his tackle on Bulldogs prop Sam Hughes saw him go a little bit high on him and have that dangerous contact. Now he is facing 1 to 2 matches. It was a pretty heavy hit for those who saw it. I guess they're going to kind of be debating whether the intent was there or not at the judiciary. We're yet to see if he is going to challenge it or not, though.
Yeah.
And then moving on to another big prop that we've got, Trey Mooney, who's also, again, another troop that the Newcastle Knights might lose. And he's been awesome for them this year.
He's been if you're a Supercoach fan, he's also been a good addition to the team. Yeah,
and don't kill me, Kat, but if you're a fantasy fan, you also like what Trey Mooney's been doing.
Good to hear that it's working across
It's working across both. Not so much this week, but yeah, in the opening couple of rounds, he's been great for my fantasy team. But he is facing 1 to 2 matches as well. He had a dangerous contact on Tanner Boyd. And just quick shout out to Tanner Boyd because he's had...
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh. We're looking at prime Nathan Cleary over at the Warriors right now. So he had dangerous contact on Tanner Boyd, late in the game. So yet to see if he will be challenging that yet. But that will be a big loss for the Knights for sure.
It will. And yeah, I got to echo the sentiment around Tanner Boyd. What a performance by him up the wires.
Yeah.
Mailbag. This is, we'll wrap up the episode with some news that you've heard, maybe some signings that you've revealed throughout the week.
Yep.
There's a few here that you want to talk about, but I think given the nature of your work, we'll always have something to talk about at the end that might also be a story that will continue into the next week.
Absolutely. Look, we're not always blessed with big stories, but luckily we are today. So actually,
here's something I prepared earlier.
Well, as I was driving in, I was actually running like 5 to 10 minutes late today because I was very rude.
I almost just said just cut
very unprofessional for our first episode to be running 10 minutes late. But I had good reason. So if you head over to espn.com.au, you'll be able to see the full story. But Maverick Gaia from the West Tigers is set to sign with the Perth Bears.
Huge.
Which is awesome for the Perth Bears. Obviously awesome for Maverick Gaia as well, who kind of gets somewhere to really cement himself.
Because he's been really fringy with Penrith. Yeah.
So that's going to be a really exciting one for Mav Gaia. He will be heading over there next year. So I got that call earlier today, and it has been in talks for quite a few weeks now, but and he's now set to sign with them. So the length of deal hasn't been revealed just yet. So stay tuned for that. But great get for Perth Bears.
Brilliant get. And it's cool to see the momentum building with Perth as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And looking at, Mav Gaia, funnily enough, his father actually played for the Western Reds. So there is a bit of...
Oh, there's a nice little correlation.
There's a nice correlation, the Perth correlation. And speaking of correlation, Mav Gaia, obviously at the Tigers, another Tiger has made his move this week.
You did there.
Thank you. I worked on it before I got here. I was working on it in the car. That's why I was 10 minutes late. Charlie Murray has also made a decision, or is set to make a decision on his future with the West Tigers. But unlike Mav Gaia, he will be remaining with the club. Now, for those of you who kind of kept an eye out on the trials, he was a standout for their trial side, and I expect to see him in their NRL squad at some point this year. He had quite a few great games for them last year, and he's been killing it in Cup. So he's set to extend with the Tigers. Likely on a multi-year deal, but we'll see kind of how that goes once that's kind of made official. But a very exciting one for the Tigers as well, who get a little bit more depth and a little bit more stability in that forward pack.
Yeah, they're really growing as a side so much. They're just more threatening every week, aren't they?
Absolutely. And
says someone who just faced them over the weekend and was
well, in saying that, it wasn't
lost a couple of nails.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy win. So
not at all.
And just kind of on the Tigers, just from speaking to them over there, they're really buying into what Benji's building over there.
Benji Ball.
Yeah,
Is that
Benji
what
Ball.
they're calling it?
The Benji Ball over there is in full effect. So,
and I love seeing him like down sideline, just getting amongst it. So Ricky Stewart vibes. Like Benji Ball is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's I'm going to be sitting on the Benji bandwagon soon. So looking over at another club that could be losing one of their young guns, Storm, the Melbourne Storm are facing a battle to lose Tallis Abel. So for those of you who don't know, Tallis Abel is a pretty highly rated prospect coming through over in Melbourne. He's a prop forward and he's currently playing for their cup side. Now, from what I've been told, 2 Queensland sides and a Sydney side are both chasing him. So that's going to be one to watch. And look, I think we often see these young guys, especially coming out of the Melbourne Storm, they do go on to do quite good things. So for those of you who don't know who Tallis is, I recommend kind of keep an eye out on their cup side because he's been doing a real good job, and he's got a couple NRL clubs chasing after him at the moment.
Damn, good on him.
Yeah. Well,
how old is he?
I believe he's young. I believe he's early 20s.
Okay.
So he's still very fresh, but he's just made it into their New South Wales Cup side.
Brilliant.
So
great position to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that he's expected to play NRL in the next kind of year or two. So one to watch there for sure.
And your final little mailbag here about Aaron Shoop.
Yeah, I like this story. I've been kind of following, Aaron and kind of what he's been doing for quite a bit now. He obviously had his stint over at the Dogs where he was electric and then bounced from the Titans to Manly. Now, I've gotten the chance to chat to Aaron over the last couple of weeks, and he's confirmed that he is set to return in round 8. So he did suffer that ACL last year in the dying minutes of last year. So he's set to return. He's set to return as a bench forward. So no longer in the centres. He will now be a forward from the bench now, expected to play on that edge. Obviously can play in the centres as well, but he's expected to be that impact edge forward. So very exciting for Aaron, who's, from talking to him, he's put a lot of work into his body and kind of building under Anthony Seibold. So he's set to return in round 8.
Good news there for Manly too. Because they definitely need to do a little.
They need to do
more,
something.
Don't they?
They need to get something going over there. So
but that's it. That's Footy in Focus. That's week 1, episode 1. It's obviously round 3, so we're just straight in.
Oh, we had to. We didn't
Lots
have time
to talk about. No, there's no time to waste anymore. We've done all the wasting time. But yeah, I think, guys, if you're listening or watching, and there's anything that you wanted us to talk more about, less about, if there's anything you'd love for us to add into next week, comment, let us know, message us. This is a new show. We want to make it something that you want to engage with and that you want to listen to or get around on a week-to-week basis. And if there's a question that you want Isaac to ask at one of the team media
for sure
moments, let him know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and this is going to be one of those things where I guess, the boon is that we've obviously got that access to the clubs, and there are a lot of questions that you guys have that potentially aren't being answered at the moment. So drop those below and we'll try to get kind of little tidbits and snippets and stuff out through the year. But I think that was a kind of great first episode. I'm keen to continue on for the year.
If you were going to rate episode 1 as a team, what team was it?
Bulldogs. As in Bulldogs being the best? Yes, the Bulldogs. Currently sitting
Bulldogs as premiership contenders.
Yes.
That was the quality of the episode.
Yes, we're Bulldogs.
Right,
so we've got a high standard to maintain.
All right. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind
we
that.
can't have it drop into like Rabbitohs or
I'll go Broncos second half against them. I do want to just shout out Jordan Ricky's post after that game saying fake fans everywhere. Because you know what? If anyone's allowed to say that, it's him. Like the amount of criticism they cop for losing 2 games, by the way. They won the premiership.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes fans just need to take a deep breath and just get off their phones, get off their computers,
But it does seem like it's a Broncos thing, doesn't it? Like they've I feel have been, especially to start this year, I guess because we've seen the Panthers win the premiership so many times over the last few years that there is that respect for them. But it's almost been like whether you're talking about Reece Walsh or Michael Maguire's job safety or their performances to start the year, it feels like they've had an insane amount of pressure on them to start, considering they just won the premiership. So
and and a loss in Hull that essentially meant nothing to this season, and like life goes on.
Yep.
I don't know. I found it very interesting, and I thought he was well within his right to post that after the performance he put on over the weekend. But yeah, as I said, that was us. That was the second half of the Broncos against Melbourne Storm. I think we're off to a great start. Isaac, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to plenty more episodes. But as we said, follow along, come on the journey with us. Let us know what you want to see, what you don't want to see. That's also useful. But thanks for tuning in on episode 1.
Thanks, guys.